I'm just waiting till this thing goes live, and I think I am there. All right. I have news for you. Thought I should go live to let everybody know because there is an appraisal district board meeting tomorrow morning, and things are getting a little bit weird. We've got breaking news. Alan Blaylock has stepped down from his position at the appraisal district, and so that leaves 3 vacant seats. We've got 2 up for election right now, and one that I want to tell you how things are going to work with that. But I also want to mention that I think local politics are playing a role in how everything is transpiring here. In fact, I mean, obviously it is because Alan Blaylock is now running for a House district seat. And so I think it's the honorable thing to do to step down from his position at the appraisal district. But I think there's more going on that is not meets the eye. I don't know how much I'm going to get into today. Probably not as much as I could, but there's a board meeting tomorrow morning. Things are going to happen at the board meeting. And so I thought I better just go live and let everybody know what's going on before like things pile up, and I'll have to catch everybody up to speed on, too many things. So let's just do this really quick. I want to just mention this at the board meeting tomorrow. They're going to meet at 9 a.m. at the appraisal district. It's 2500 Handley Etterville Road. If you're just bored and don't have anything to do, I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. We've got an agenda, but I know that they're going to go into executive session, look at the results of the investigation that's been going on into the botched election, and they are going to come out of executive session. They could take action. I think that the fear is that they're going to, or the big topic is whether or not they're going to fire the chief appraiser. I think that they're up to this point. I haven't received any new news after I put out that video that talked about the botched election. You can find it on either my YouTube channel or on my Facebook page. But I went into detail explaining exactly what happened, how the vote count for the Tarrant Appraisal District election got botched, and it was basically a copy and paste error. And I talked a little bit about how they found out about it, how it became public. And to my knowledge, there hasn't really been any new news on that. And so it looks to me like it's just basically a typo that was inconsequential, wasn't any damage. It's concerning because it involves an election. And so the tax assessor, Rick Barnes, he hit it head on and was saying, hey, look, we're going to operate a little differently here. We're going to find out what's going on with the botched vote count. We're going to investigate it, and we're going to deal with it head on. And if we've got to fire somebody, we'll fire somebody. Well, it was a typo issue. And so I could talk a little bit more about that. Let's look for a second before we come back to the breaking news. I want to just talk first. I want to show you what I got here. If anybody's following this stuff, then you may find, oh my gosh, I thought maybe I was sharing my screen. I'm going to hold on here. Let's see here. I'm going to try and share my screen. This is technology I don't use very often, and I don't have just a real long time to do this. I just thought before I pick my daughter up, I better go ahead and let's see here. Better go ahead and share this. Oh my gosh. I tested it out, and let's see what happens. I'm just going to start clicking buttons, guys. That's the only way to do that. Oh, add to stage. There we go. Hey, look at that. All right. Tested it out, got it all ready, and I forgot that I had it ready. So here's the update on the election. You've got the members that are, or the candidates that have thrown their hat in the race here. You have Syed, Eric Crowell, Wendy Burgess, Mike Alfred. I put out in the video, I talked a lot about Wendy Burgess and just saying, hey, look, anybody but her. It looks to me like if I had to guess, I would say probably Burgess and Crowell are going to be the front runners. And so if you just scroll down here, you can see all of the votes that they've received up to this point. A lot of votes are pretty small, except for this one is pretty big, City of Fort Worth. And then you've got Tarrant County, I believe, just voted today for Mike Alfred, so his numbers are going to jump up quite a bit. Right now, you've got Wendy Burgess in the lead, Eric Crowell is second, and then you've got Mike Alfred in third. And you can just, if you know some of these entities, you know their history, you know some of the relationships going on, you can kind of guess how these guys are going to vote. So anyway, here's the reason I'm going live. All of this stuff to me is really dramatic because it involves local politics. You've got the I'm trying to measure what I'm going to say and what I'm not going to say, but there's major focus on property taxes in politics, obviously, and so the appraisal district is the kind of the largest focal point that people have locally, and so when anything's going on at the appraisal district, whether or not it's actually consequential, whether it's consequential or not, it tends to get the attention of local politicians, and people look for opportunities to advance local political agendas, and they think about, well, what can we do to actually help the people? And so what we've got here is we've got this election and the broader political agendas of the different candidates and of the political parties are playing a role in who's going to support who's going to get on the board, and it's not all just about who's going to do the best job. So big surprise, that's what politics is all about. So when you've got, let me just show you who's on the board right now. Let's see here. If you go to the appraisal district, you go to board of directors, you can scroll down here and see the different folks. So you've got Callie Rigney, Eric Morris, and Matt Bryant were the three public elected people. You got Rick Barnes, who is elected as the tax assessor, who now sits on the board and gets to vote. These other five people, oh, dang, they just updated this like within the last 30 minutes. That was Alan Blaylock up until like 30 minutes ago, and they just took his photo away. So obviously there, you don't have to take my word for it. There it is. But it did say Alan Blaylock, and I was going to say, hey, actually his seat is vacant. So this is the dramatic thing. You've got this vacancy here, and then you've got the two seats that are up for the appointment process being filled through the appointment process through the taxing entities as Mike Albert and Wendy Burgess. And so now we've got three. So the process to fill these two is completely different than the process to fill this one. And with Alan Blaylock stepping down to run for the House seat, then you've got weirdness going on. So he's doing the right thing by stepping away because he's not going to be able to focus on this. So I like that. The problem is, I think that some of the bigger implications about firing the chief appraiser potentially and what's going on with that are playing a role in the politics. And I think it's really unfortunate because it seems like there's been a typo issue and the guy's been through a whole lot. And instead of just thinking about, whether or not he's done a good job and the livelihood that he and his family have, and then whether or not the appraisal district would actually be served best by this guy, it's kind of like thinking about, well, how's this going to look for me politically? And it's not that you can't think about that. That's obviously part of the accountability structure inside politics. If there's been a major failure, then you have to account for that. But also we kind of depend on these guys to make decisions that are beyond just politics and looking at it with some wisdom to act with some temperance and say, hey, look, yeah, there's been an issue, but it was a typo. And let's look at the track record of how things have gone up to this point. And I could go over the list of different circumstances the chief appraiser has been involved in, and kind of it paints a picture for his track record. And by my assessment, the guy has not deserved to be fired up to this point. All right. So that's just my assessment. I just would hate for him to get wrapped up into all of this. I got to go here in just a second. I got to pick up my daughter from dance, but I just want to mention this. All right. So Alan Blaylock resigns. We got the vacant seat. The process to fill his seat. Here's it's kind of interesting. In fact, let's see here. I got a Chat GPT window. Let's see if it's going to tell me this. Okay. Here's what it's going to look like to fill that seat. So he resigned, I believe, yesterday. So there's going to be a chain of events that happen. Then there's a nomination period you and I don't get to participate in, but the taxing entities that nominated him, they're going to get to provide a list of nominees. And then by December 31st, which is within 5 days after that this period ends, then the chief appraiser must compile a list of all the nominees to be delivered to the board. Here's why this is interesting. You've got these 2 seats are going to be filled by somebody. Then this seat down here is going to be voted on after the entities nominated everybody. This seat right here is going to be voted on by the other board members. So the timing of this matters a whole lot. If they vote to fill this seat before this timeline, then you've got the current board member. But if they vote on that, if all this concludes before January 1st, then those current board members are going to be the ones placing the votes. If it drags on one extra day, then the brand new board members that are filling these 2 seats will be the ones voting for this guy. So it feels like there's some intentionality in the timing of all this to make sure that they're doing the process to vote for this guy before these people leave their seats. Okay. I think Mike Alfred is going to get voted off, and I think Eric Kreil will probably be voted on. And I don't think that Eric Kreil and Mike Alfred are going to vote the same way. So who they replace with this is going to matter. Who fills this seat is going to affect how they vote. It's going to affect who's in this seat. And then what that's going to do is that's going to change the entire balance of the board, because for every consequential decision that the board has, you've just got to look at this. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people. You've got to get 5 votes for the majority, and that could alter who's on the majority. You'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 voting one way, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 voting the other way. Okay, I hope that makes sense. This chair will determine how the appraisal district is run, and the timing of all this is going to matter. So anyway, so at the end of the day, probably should have put a little bit more prep time into this. But I just thought, well, we've got the appraisal district board meeting tomorrow. There's a lot going on here. And if I don't say something now, I'm not going to say something until after the board meeting. And then I'll give you a little update to let you know how things have gone. But I just hope cooler heads prevail. I hope that the thing that helps us I hope that the way that decisions are made are based on purely, number one, like what's going to be best for the appraisal district, what's best for the citizens. And it's done in a way that is focused on the long term and not just what kind of short-term wins can we get. And it considers all consequences. So there you go. There have been a couple political meetings that have gone on behind the scenes by the top politicians in all of Tarrant County. And it's not who you would think. It's like people that you would not expect to be meeting in the same room. And I need to confirm that before I drop names, but it feels like some of this is being orchestrated. And I just hope that somebody who's filled the corrupt appraisal district chief appraiser, who we just booted out, I hope that guy isn't being used as a convenient pawn to kind of take the blame for anything that goes wrong, and he ends up losing his job, and then we end up backsliding. So I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to say some of this stuff out loud, because I want everybody to kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about, even though you might not understand it all, because I'm obviously being a little bit vague. But the meeting's going to happen tomorrow, and I'll give you an update to see what happens. Hopefully nothing happens, and we can get more information on the table. A thorough investigation will happen, hopefully. And if nothing beyond a typo has occurred and there aren't any consequences, hopefully Chief Appraiser gets to keep walking down his path. We get the brand new software, and we keep walking in a straight line rather than have the chaos of having to find a brand new Chief Appraiser, which, by the way, if we have to get a new Chief Appraiser after all of this, we're not going to get like the primo cream of the crop. We're going to get the bottom of the barrel, because I highly doubt if any chief appraiser would want to come into this environment if they have to fear making a typo will end up causing them to lose their job. Now, you could characterize it another way. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. If you say, yeah, if you botch an election, then you lose your job. Yes, you could sensationalize it and make it look that way, but I'm just telling you, I see both sides. I'm super happy with how Barnes has hit this head on. I'm super happy that they're doing the investigation, deal with it head on. I also think that with all things considered, we just need to be able to see the next day and make progress in the appraisal district. And the guy that is at the top, the only reason why they can hold him accountable is because he's been honest. And so issued a public apology already. And I'm eager to hopefully keep making progress here in Tarrant County. We got a lot of good leaders, a lot of good leadership. And that's the breaking news. That's what we got. Tomorrow, I will go to the appraisal district, check out what's going to happen in the meeting, and I will give an update. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Peace out. I got to go pick up my daughter before she's sitting out there wondering where daddy is. All right. I will look at some of your questions. Actually, we don't have very many, so let me just look at them real quick. Thanks for all you do. Yes. Thanks for having our backs. It wasn't worth all that for Joe Don to lose a job for it. Yeah, you got it. All right. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Over now.